Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Border Australian Success. And today we have two special guests with us. None other than my favorite bros, Farid Zaki bhai.
That's right.
I call you bhai because you're so special to us.
Thank you. I'm special and privileged to be here.
And he is an entrepreneur, business owner, founder of multiple, businesses that we can think of. And we have our managing director, Aman Sethi. Nice to meet you again, Aman.
Nice to see you and excited for another episode.
Yes, and we always get to see each other in these episodes. And that is why we love having guests who are very special.
Thank you for having me. I feel very special and honored to be part of your podcast and your lovely viewers.
Yes, and I think our viewers have something very common with you. Majority of our audience, we are from, of course, majority of us are from migrant backgrounds. And also a lot of students can relate with you, with your journey. We would love to hear a little bit of your journey.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for that opportunity. So look, I came to Australia originally as an overseas student, did my education here in accounting. And then towards the end of my visa, I had a little bit of time left over in my visa. So, I pleaded with immigration to leave me to look for a job. And if I have an opportunity to start my journey, couldn't find an accounting job, but I ended up in a job in a hotel. And that was the best thing in my life, that I was able to convert, my student visa and end up staying in Australia and enjoy this beautiful country that we are in and the opportunities of being in business and, being in Australia. So,
what is the time where you're talking about? What?
So I came to Australia originally in 1992. And then by the time I finished my education and things like that, it was around 1995, something like that. And then I worked in a hotel for 6 months. And then after that, I went and got a job in an accounting practice. And the story goes that I was doing my master's at that time. And I wanted to further my education, so I stepped down from my role. And one of my clients that was a client in the original practice wanted me to rent a room in his office and do his accounts. And I said to him, look, I'm not interested in starting up a business. I'm not planning to start up a business. But he was so convincing. So I ended up renting a room. Was doing pizza delivery on weekends to pay for the rent. And and the story started, with one business client and grew the business from there. It was in 1997, but we started the journey of one client at a time. But then I guess if you talk to a lot of business owners, that's really what happens, is that we land an opportunity and we start looking at being in business, and the journey takes us in there, and it's such a beautiful journey, as difficult as it was. And you look back and you say, how did I do that? And would I ever do that again? I think it's another story, but it's about growing. It's about the opportunity. And that's what's being beautiful in Australia, is that you have an opportunity to work hard. You can also sit down and do nothing, and won't take you any further. But being able to say, you know what, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and do something with my life, you can really get into a lot of good results, yes.
I think same goes for you, right? Well, exactly what he mentioned, one client at a time, and then just getting out of your comfort zone. Similar stories?
Yeah, definitely. I think the one client at a time with all business founders and entrepreneurs, it works in that way. And then once you get that one client, you help them, you see the difference that you make for them, and then that brings you confidence. They then start talking about, their experience with their friends, and things start to go from there. So, Farid, you also mentioned something very interesting, that initially, obviously you studied accounting, then you got into hospitality.
Yes.
And this is something that our audience can really relate to, because a lot of times, and we tell them this all the time, that you're never going to get the straight path, or it's very unlikely, and you have to deviate and you have to maneuver and you have to see what's on the table and take the best option and then go from there. So
That's right.
Also in job coaching, you're suggesting continuously the same.
100%. So, I mean, how easy or hard was that for you to kind of deviate from, you've obviously come here, you studied, you spent a lot of money, a lot of time studying a certain area, and then to go into something else completely to start your career. How did you, handle that situation?
To be honest with you, is it difficult? I think it is very difficult. And the issue is it's both a mindset as well as like I studied to be this, but why I can't get an opportunity. But if you flip it around and say from an employer's point of view, if you give the best whatever position you're offered, it's like you're opening a door for yourself. The thing is, a lot of times we want to be in a certain position, but we don't realize that sometimes that doesn't happen. But if you can, whatever you are given, you do a good job at it and get out of your comfort zone and say, you know what, okay, I might not find a job in accounting, but hey, if I work in a hotel, I have an opportunity. It's about getting your foot through the door. Because what happens, it's multiple levels. So firstly, it gives you an opportunity to work in an environment which exposes you to other people that you are meeting through networking, through connecting. But also it enlightens you and it enables you to get out of your comfort zone and say, you know what, I am going to prove myself wherever I am sitting. And whenever you prove yourself, opportunities open their doors. But if we sit down and say, you know what, this is the job I want. And I know as a migrant, it's always very hard, like especially, I mean, I came as a young person, I did my studying here, so maybe it's a little bit of a different story. But see people who come in and they're a little bit older, they already have a high position where their country they're coming from. And then they say, well, I'm taking a step down. What I'm saying is, yes, you're taking a step down to take a step up. And that's the opportunity. Don't let that go. Because to prove yourself, nobody knows you. They don't know what you do, how good you are. But the only way they can find out is by you being in the workforce. So any opportunity you get, take it and do the best at it. And that's another advice. A lot of people take positions and they say, well, this is not what I like. I'm just going to laze off at it. Of course, that's not going to get you anywhere. But whatever position, even if it's a lowest grade of what you do good at it, people will give you an opportunity. Because I think the more we are entrusted with something, the better we do at it, then the more we'll be entrusted. So imagine if I give you $100 and I say to you, Aman, I want you to go and invest that $100. And you take that $100 and invest it and give me a return. Wouldn't I give you more money to invest? And the same thing with professional services. Employers give you an opportunity, or business owners give you an opportunity to see what you're going to do. If you're going to give them a good return on investment on the money they're putting for you, they're going to give you an opportunity to grow further. But unless we get out of our comfort zone and say, you know what, I'm going to make it work. I'm not going to sit down and expect it to fall on my lap.
Yeah,
that's when opportunities do come.
100%. And, in the last probably 3 to 6 months, we've seen a lot of this. So we work with a lot of businesses that want to sponsor their employees. And,
yes.
And what happens is that, once they know the person, they know their work ethic, they know that this person is going to give it 100% no matter what job I give them.
That's right.
They're happy to, go and give them the sponsorship, even if they have to deviate to their original plan, or even if the education doesn't quite match the role that, needs to happen from an immigration perspective. But companies are very willing because they see the person, they see the character, and they know that whatever they throw at them, they're going to be able to get, that return on the investment that they're making. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Whatever opportunity comes, you have to give it your best. Otherwise, then you're losing that, chance to longify your career and things.
I have one question for the two of you. I think people make a really big deal about age, right? Age, don't you think at times it's a mindset? Because you came when you were 10.
Yep.
You came when you were 19.
Yeah.
I came when I was 33. Oops, I told my age. But the thing is...
That was last week, right?
Or maybe 10 years later. But what we're trying to say here is age actually an issue? What age did you enter? Does it work on Does it benefit you? What pros and cons? People, I think too much. And everybody says that, oh, the sooner or the earlier you enter, it's better. And then someone in their 40s is probably very upset that, oh, why did I come so late? Is that an issue actually?
To be honest, in my experience, it's not about the age. It's about your mindset and what are you willing to do, okay? Because you could be 19 years old, but you want to sit back and not do nothing. Or you could be a 54-year-old person, but willing to give it your best. For me, it's all about your attitude, your mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to work hard on this. Whatever opportunity allows itself for me, I'm going to do it. If you have that mindset, it's not about an age. I mean, age, you could have experience, you could have knowledge, expertise, but then you could have somebody who's 19 years old who has a better mindset than somebody who is 50 years old who has no mindset. So it's not about the age, it's about the mindset, it's about the attitude, it's about saying, you know what, it's not about a number, it's about how much am I going to give it, a go.
So, Aman, when you're coaching privately, do you face people not having the correct mindset or face people who are really talented, has got the mindset, but has a few challenges here and there?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of examples here. So one is that, when people say they're a little bit older, say 35 to 45, and they come here and they've been successful and they've been, in senior roles overseas, and they come and they try and, emulate what they did overseas straight away over here, and they don't find that opportunity. They don't find that level of seniority. So that's a big conversation that we have with a lot of our clients to educate them that, yes, those opportunities at that level will come, but you need to understand the market, understand the people, understand how it works differently to where you were before, and you need to be patient. So 1 or 2 years, you need to build yourself up and then you'll get there. So that's one. The other conversation is, I think, with the age, it does, and of course there's exceptions to every rule, but if you have a 17 or 18-year-old person coming here to study their bachelor's versus someone who's, say, 25 to 30 who's coming to study their master's, if I'm to talk very generally here, then of course...
And 30 and above also comes.
And 30 and above, of course, 30, 33 and above. And
33 and above.
So that person has seen a few more years, right? They've been a little bit away from the, sheltered existence and seeing the world. And they, again, talking generally, they're able to adapt a bit more and understand that they have to adapt. Whereas someone who's just, say, finished school and suddenly gone into a new country, no support, no one to really guide them, and they can feel a little bit isolated. So again, having that social network these days, having that support around, having the right mentor in place for those people, I think is very important for sure.
That's so true.
And what do you think about the community? I think that's a very important topic. Someone choosing to do something which is outside their field. How acceptable is the community? Did you have a hard time, or were they supportive?
Look, to be honest with you, and I think a lot of people, especially coming from cultural backgrounds, a lot of times we really seriously consider a lot of things that makes us uncomfortable to do. I think what we need to do is focus. It doesn't really matter what the community thinks about what you're doing. So when I studied accounting and I worked in a hotel, maybe part of my people in my community would have said, why have you done that? And I think sometimes our communities are very judgmental. Let's be honest, a lot of communities, we sort of, high value certain jobs and not high value other jobs. But I think, let's be honest here, at the end of the day, who cares what other person thinks about you? If you are inspired, if you enjoy what you do, if you excel in what you do. And in Australia, things are completely different. Back at, I can talk about being in my country. Everybody wants to be a doctor and engineer, right? But in Australia, that's not the case. You could have any job and you'd be highly well regarded in that job. So we've got to not worry about the community. Got to worry about what is good for you. What are you passionate about? Because not everybody wanted to be a doctor and an engineer. If you want to be a doctor and engineer, well, go for it. But if you don't, and you want to be an accountant or you want to be a solicitor or a migration specialist and you love it, just go for it. And I think that's where we need to say, you know what, let's not, firstly, not be judgmental. But if you're receiving the judgment, just block that out. Because at the end of the day, you know what, who cares? It's your life. You are going to make this happen. If it is your passionate, you do it, just go for it. Don't worry about our community because, if they are going to judge you, well, who cares?
Right. And were there days when you felt like you really hit the lowest low and you wanted to just pack your bags and leave? Can you share some incidents?
Yes. Well, and I think Aman mentioned that. So I came here when I was 19 years old. And my parents were not here. It was a difficult time, and it would be times that I wanted to go back home, and enjoy my mom's cooking and, being next to my family. And sometimes in our journey, it is very difficult. But you got to say, why am I here? That's where you need to justify. It's like, it took me a big journey to get to where I am. And in business is the same thing as well. Is very difficult. Like I told you the story of how I started my business. I used to do pizza delivery to pay for the rent. I'll work Saturday and Sunday and I have to rock up 9 o'clock on Monday. Sharp as, but I haven't slept for the last 2 days because I've been doing deliveries. But this is the journey. And the thing is, when you look back, you say, wow, I started with nothing and look where I am now. So would there be moments like this? I think yes. Would I be honest and say, when I was back home and we look at Australia, we always thought that it's like going to heaven. You're going to walk into a place and money will be on the floor. Realistically, when you come, you say, look, you still got to work hard for it. I'm just being honest. You got to work hard wherever you go. So you got to have that attitude. The fact that we are here in Australia, it's a big blessing. But you know what? You still got to work hard. Because if you don't, you can't go anywhere.
It's getting more competitive day by day.
That's right. And, whatever journey you take through, I say in business is a bit of a lonely journey. Why? Because you need other people that you can cry on the shoulder and say, Aman, I'm struggling with my business. I've got to take that mask off. And, while I'm networking with Aman, I could say, honestly, I am a little bit struggling. This is what I'm suffering from in my business. And as another business owner, we can support each other. Another cultural support is we can be empathetic and understand, look, you've left your country. If you haven't got family in Australia, you will feel left out. So if you do feel that somebody is in that position, please reach out and encourage them and support them. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are here for. I mean, we worked hard to get where we are, but that's when you get the opportunities and extend the hand of help to other people.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And both me and Farid are both part of CUB, which is a business community for business owners and founders. Yes. And we'll give them a plug here now as well. Yes, so, so I think, and that's the whole point of the community, isn't it? That's some of the challenges that we face as a business owner is not something that people really come across. And a couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with a fellow business owner who's been very successful in a very short space of time. And he was telling me that he's had to make some really tough decisions in the last 3 to 6 months. And, his personality has changed. He's become very cutthroat as opposed to, being always looking on the empathetic side and things. And that's because he has, 50, 60 people to consider when he's making these decisions. So, and I was joking around with him saying that, before I used to hear everyone say, why are all business owners, why are they all assholes? And, people would literally come and say that. And I didn't understand because I didn't have that big business. I was just running something that was, kind of lean and reliant on myself at that time. And I said, yeah, they don't need to be. I don't understand what it is. But now, a few years on, I know exactly what it is. It's a no-win situation. You have to be cutthroat. You have to make decisions that are tough. Not everyone is going to like what you do, no matter which decision you take. Someone's going to be unhappy, and that's probably why they get branded the way they do. And unless you're a business owner, you don't get that. You don't get that perspective because you haven't gone through that journey. So I think, 100% relying on each other is critical. That's a very interesting take.
And I think coming back to what you said, Aman, is that unless you're out of your comfort zone to network and collaborate with other people, like, let's be honest, I wouldn't be here in this podcast had I not met Pri and I haven't met you. You know what I mean? So if I sat on my desk, there was no chance I would have met you, and there was no chance that I would be in here today. So the lesson is you've got to get out of your comfort zone, connect, network, collaborate with other people. And collaboration is about helping each other, doing and serving customers that we are both helping and serving, but in a non-competitive way by sending work to each other. But you've got to get out of your comfort zone, because guess what? If you don't do that, you don't network, you don't connect, you're not going to meet people. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I think two takes that I can get today and learn from both of you is that one, you mentioned you have to be disciplined, very straightforward, because you have got bills to pay, you've got people who looks up to you. And then you mentioned is that get out of the comfort zone. I think one additional thing I feel is be consistent.
Yes.
Business is not gifted. Majority of the business that are successful doesn't run generation after generation. Both of you have one thing in common. You guys started something. It wasn't given to you.
Yes.
So if you gave up first year, second year, just because you're watching others doing so great compared to you, you wouldn't be here, right?
That's right.
100%. And I think the landscape has changed as well. I mean, back in, 15, 20, 30 years ago, you could take your time, you could build the business slowly and go from there. These days, what happens with the speed of, how fast everything moves, if you're not moving quickly, you get left behind very quickly. So I think some of the principles as a business owner have changed over the years. And that's why, people that I speak to that built the business, say in the 80s, for example, and things, the philosophies they have are really good, and you can get some learnings from them, but we're in a different world and the philosophies need to change as well. So I think that's what I found, that, so you need to be careful of what advice you take and what advice you say, well, maybe that advice was good in the 80s, but, now we're in 2025, so we need to adapt. So yeah, it's an interesting take, but the more people you listen to, the more people that have gone through the journey, they've got the scars, know, that there is ups and downs and how to manage them. I think that can only help you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I think that brings us back to your point that we need to be persistent, because a lot of times people think I'm going to open a website, start a business, open a website, and all of a sudden I'm going to get all this influx of clients. Well, might not happen. You've got to be persistent, but have a strategy, have a plan, and get on with it.
Deal with the good days and the bad days.
That's right. And you know what? Being in the industry for 30 years, I can tell you, I still get bad days every now and then, So don't think that, the longer you are, the more likely that you will never get bad days. That doesn't happen. And the bigger, and you mentioned that, Aman, the bigger your business gets, the more problems you could potentially have. But then, is there rewards? Yes, there is rewards. So everything in life has good and bad. But you got to be, when things are bad, you just got to look back and say, you know what? I've come through a long way. I say being in business, or it's like a journey, like you're climbing a mountain, okay? All the time you're looking forward, you feel like you still got to climb a little bit higher. But if you stop for a minute and you see where you came from, you feel how blessed we are. And I think that's another blessing. And I always say about being in Australia, about having that opportunity to be, migrating to Australia and coming to Australia. It's a big blessing. But you know what? When you see that, you can reach out and help others that are struggling and give them that opportunity and open the door for them. But I agree with the point that you're saying, that definitely things are faster, so you got to move faster. The whole world is so much faster, but persistency and consistency, it's something very important. And never give up.
30 years, that's amazing. So, how have you changed your, is there anything that stands out that you feel that I've had to change in this aspect or that aspect over time to adapt to the changing world? And if you can give us some insights on that.
Yeah, look, I would love to. Have I learned a lot of lessons? Yes, I have. What would I teach myself if I am to start business again? I think the first thing is think about creating relationships. A lot of times when we go out...
An expert.
Well, not an expert, but it's all about creating relationships. We always say there is a chain of how events happen. When I am in business, the first thing I'm thinking about is revenue. How can I get my dollar to 10 cents? But realistically, if I meet a person for the first time, they're not going to give me business straight away. It's about creating that relationship, creating that trust, because we deal with people that we know and trust. So visibility is very important. It's very important to be visible. And that's the fact that you need to attend events, network, whether it be in the community, the business community, and overall being present. The next thing is being credible, is basically being able to showcase where you are. But then that's how the business comes. What I will also suggest that, through years I've learned is to enjoy the journey. I think about 30 years. I don't know where the time went. But a lot of times you look back and say, I wish I spent more time enjoying the journey a little bit, because we are in a race. It feels sometimes we are like in a race. It gets pretty difficult sometimes. Sit down and enjoy the journey and celebrate your successes. Have the team that is around you, have technology, use technology. A lot of people talk about AI as it's the enemy of business.
No.
Don't think like that. Think AI is going to help me do a lot of things in my business.
And save time.
Yeah, it's going to save me a lot of time, but I can focus on doing things that as a human I can do. So find opportunities in challenges.
Right. I kind of felt like I want to ask both of you this question. Your journey, we have heard, but now the other side, which is owning a business. How open are you, both of you, to hire overseas employees, and have you hired them? I know you have.
Yes. Well, I am very open. But the challenge, and this is a point that Aman said, that I find a lot of times when I'm hiring people from overseas, is sometimes the expectation is higher than the reality. Number one. Number two, it's about no matter how you did things, if things are done differently, you've got to learn how it's done here.
Coping up.
Yes. So if, for example, you used to doing something for the last 10 years, and now we find that the system here is different. Like, let's talk about accounting and tax, for example. Okay. As an immigrant, even if you studied a Bachelor of Commerce or accounting overseas, as soon as you come to Australia, there's 3 important subjects that you need to do: company tax, company law, and tax law. Just got to have to do them if you want to work as an accountant.
Interesting.
So unless you're willing to say, you know what, I'm going to study this to have an opportunity, because company tax is different than the rest of the world. Tax law is different than the rest of the world. And company accounting is different from different parts of the world. So find out what needs to be done and do it. And would I give opportunities? Yes, I would. As long as the person has the right attitude that I am going to learn and do it. And if I'm asked to change how I do things, because that's how it's done here, change it. And have that expectation. So would I give an opportunity? Yes, I would. But it's to the person that has the right mindset. And the person that is willing to learn from the grounds up. Because technically you need to learn from the trenches. Sometimes it's very hard to bring somebody and put them on the managing director position straight away if they have no experience in running the operation. So firstly, you need to learn from the grounds up. So.
Yeah, look, from our side, definitely a lot of our team is from a migrant background, but a lot of them have worked in Australia for many years as well. And especially the subject matter experts that are guiding people on the job search or on immigration, they've worked for 5, 10, 15 years in Australia before they joined JICS. And I think that's just because some occupations require that level of expert knowledge. So we can't have SMEs in the business that haven't understood and kind of built a career in Australia already, because then they won't have the knowledge to give our clients. So on those roles, we definitely need that Australian experience, and that's just a part of what it is. And then in other roles, like on the creative side, for example, it's not about the Australian experience. It's a global skill set, and it doesn't matter whether the person's worked in Australia or not. It's about
but what
being
he
the best
mentioned,
person.
do you agree to this, that it's the mindset of coping up? Even working for JICS, I had to cope up with a lot of things that I wasn't familiar with. That is non-negotiable, right?
Yeah, I mean, adapting is non-negotiable at the end of the day, ultimately. I'll give you an example. So I used to work at a large organization, and what they did was they went and hired senior leaders from America to come in and really try and ramp up their technology division. And what they found was, it's even though these people were from Amazon, from all the kind of leading tech companies in the US, they came here and it just didn't work, because they would work in the American style. It was very much task action, kind of coming down hard for each and everything on all the employees. And the employees are all Australian, right? So we can't have two very different cultures, different ways of working. And
how did they react?
they didn't react. I mean, they weren't going to take nonsense from someone who's just walked in the door, regardless of their credentials. And so you can never really change the culture of the country. I mean, in that sense, and or a big organization, you have to adapt to the culture, and slowly you can make some moves that are going to help. But if you come in there thinking that, okay, this is the way I work and everyone else is going to have to adapt to what I do, no matter how senior you are, it's just not going to work. You have to be able to understand the landscape and then make sure that you act accordingly. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
That's great advice. Yeah.
I think we had a great conversation today, and we learned so much from both of you. I hope our audience enjoyed the whole conversation as well. One last question that I want to ask you.
Then I probably have one or two as well. So
Okay, Aman, go ahead.
So as a migrant, when you came here, I mean, it was obviously a few years ago, and there's probably not as high number of migrants or international students at that time. From a cultural perspective, how did you find it? How did you adapt to the Australian people, the way, integrate into society here?
Yes.
Were there challenges? How did you find it?
Look, to be honest with you, comparing 2025 to 1992 is a huge difference. What we don't realize in Australia, no matter which culture you're coming from, there's more likely people in your community in a bigger scale. So if we go back to 1992, I think things were much harder at that time because not a lot of cultural people were actually established. But these days, you won't have that problem. Maybe on regional placements, you might have this issue that you might not have every culture well represented in the different regional places. But to answer your question, I think it is important that firstly, you got to think about, if I'm coming to your house, Aman, I need to understand, if I'm coming to your house and you have certain traditions, I need to follow what you are doing. And I think as an advice, this is what we need to understand. We're coming to Australia. There's certain way of doing things culturally, community-wise. You know what? If you really want to succeed, you need to be able to blend into the community. Yes, you still need to keep your cultural background, religious background, all of that. That's very important. And we're not saying no to that. But at the end of the day, you've got to be flexible enough to interact and communicate and connect with other people. Is it difficult? Yes, it is. Because sometimes if you haven't been exposed to different cultures, you might find that challenging. But then I think that's the beauty of things. It's like you could go to different restaurants that serve different cuisines. But you got to be comfortable to get out of your comfort zone. Don't expect that you're going to come from your community in your country and place yourself in your community in this country. Because at the end of the day, you might be able to do that on a smaller level. Like you might go to a restaurant that serves your home country food, but you might not find a business that has everybody from, your cultural background. So be comfortable being uncomfortable. But also what I do find that it actually brings our personality differently. And it encourages and supports us to get out of our comfort zone. So similar to having brothers and sisters and cousins, I always refer to that. Just think about it like this. You are leaving your brothers and sisters and you're coming to meet cousins from different communities, from different cultures. But that's the beauty, is we learn about each other's cultures, we respect each other's cultures, and we are actually encouraged. So is it a difficult journey? Yes, it's a difficult journey, but it's all about a mindset. I just come back to mindset. Mindset makes a huge difference. You cannot come in with a certain mindset and expect things to be done the way you have it in your mind. If it happened the way you thought about it, that's good. But if it doesn't, please be flexible, because at the end of the day, it's a matter of opening a door to get in. Once you open the door, you meet people, you connect to people. That's when opportunities do happen. So definitely have the right mindset. Have your support mechanism. So you mentioned about mentorship. I think it's really important that you find one or two people that you can get a little bit of mentorship from. And, when things are tough, just reach out and say, look, I'm struggling. Can you help me? And
that itself is hard to find, right? A true mentor that's going to listen to you.
It is hard, but a lot of people are willing to do it. But I think the issue is a lot of times if you look back at where things have happened to you and how blessed are you to be in this position, the more you see that, the more that you see you could affect and change generations by actually helping them and supporting them. Yes, to answer your question, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time from somebody to mentor you and help you. But at the end of the day, this is what humanity is all about, right? Reaching out and helping someone else.
And I think on this note, like a lot of people are willing to do it, but they won't do it proactively. So you need to go and ask them and basically say that I'm looking for a mentor and I feel that you'd be the right person.
Yeah.
And but people will in that position are not really going to come to you and say, let me mentor you, because they understand that the person who's not coming and asking for it, their time and effort might be wasted by giving them guidance, because that person's not going to apply that guidance or not going to give it the respect that it deserves. So there's plenty of people willing to mentor, but you have to go and ask the question.
That's right. And they need to be aligned, obviously, with you, with your values, what you want to do. And sometimes you pick and choose. You could learn one thing from this person. You could learn another thing from a different person. It's just about a learning journey, and you pick and choose different people to learn different things from.
Right. Do you have any more questions, Aman?
No, I'm good.
Yay. Okay, so finally, my question, which is, when you think of, life is still a journey. You're still heading somewhere. But if you can think of that one moment in your life that you felt like, yes, I went beyond borders and this is my Australian dream, this is my Australian journey. What was that one special moment, if you could share?
I think the best moment is the fact that when I was able to get my permanent residency in Australia. It's so special. See, the thing is, and sometimes people who don't come from migrant background, they don't understand that. If you're born here, you live in a beautiful country, you don't really sometimes appreciate what you have. But when you do have that moment where you get your PR and you say, well, welcome to Australia, and you are physically able to stay here, I think that moment is pretty special, because it allows you the opportunity to grow going forward. It allows you an opportunity to do whatever is it that you're dreaming to do, whether it be have a job, have a business, start a family, whatever it is that you want to do. But it opens that door for you. So for me, that's probably the best thing, to have that opportunity to be able to stay in Australia. I mean, I still love my country. I love Australia a lot, but it allows me and it gave me an opportunity to grow, and it welcomed me here. So for me, that's a very special moment. And a lot of other special moments we go through, in our lives personally, getting married to my beautiful wife, the best thing that happened to us, have beautiful children. So you get different milestones and things, you meet awesome friends like you guys. Thank you for having me here. But every relationship that you have, that friendship, that connection, it leads you to a place. Be open. Be open to have that sort of relationship. And don't expect, just give. Because, the blessings is more in the giving, not the taking. It's about reaching out and helping others, giving them an opportunity and say, you know what, I'm a little bit better in this position. Let me reach out. But yeah, so many blessings. So yeah.
And I think, on that note, like even if you're born here and you live here your whole life, the moment that you travel overseas and you say go to some other countries like Asia or Africa, then you realize how lucky we are over here. And even my son, who's still only 7 years old, he didn't realize how lucky he was until he went traveling with us. And then once I took him traveling, he came back and said that, I love Australia. And for about a month, every day he used to say, Australia's my home. I love Australia, because he realized that some of the things that we take for granted are not the same across the world. And so that's we are privileged from that point of view.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you guys have heard what is Australian dream, getting the PR, and that's where JICS comes, and we want to do some free marketing here.
That's it.
All right. Bye. So lovely having you here.
Thank you for having me.
So lovely. Once again, we have to wrap up today, but we're going to come to another episode and have another amazing guest. Right, Aman?
Very soon, 2 or 3 weeks.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.